Welcome to Yummy Mayhem, where we cook from chaos to euphoria. In this kitchen, I like to cook from the top of my head. So sometimes it's euphoric and other times it's a miss. So walk on over to your kitchen so we can find out what today's will be. So today we have our sous chef, Amber J, with us. Hi. She's gonna be assisting me in the kitchen, so let's get started. All right, you guys, so for this recipe, we are gonna need some butter, some pepper, oregano, paprika, red pepper flakes, garlic powder, salt, your choice of pasta. Yes, most people use fettuccine for Alfredo, but I use whatever is in my kitchen. This is an American Alfredo. This is not an Italian Alfredo whatsoever. In fact, I don't even believe that they call it Alfredo. All right, we need some heavy cream, and I'm going to use a Parmesan Romano and Asiago cheese blend for our sauce. We're also going to need some chicken, and I went ahead and seasoned this up with the seasonings that were mentioned. So let's get started. All right, guys, so here at Yummy Mayhem, we like to include Jesus in everything that we do. So as we are cooking, you can just follow along with what you see, but listen in on what we have to say. All right, so today's topic is separation of church and state. This is a very, very popular topic in the United States right now as we approach Election Day, and I'm just going to start by explaining exactly what that is because not everyone knows. So if we go by dictionary, it says a physiological concept that defines the political distance between the state and religious organizations. So this topic would typically come up when we're talking about schools, politics, or anything along the lines of that. Some people believe there should be a separation of church and state. And by people, I mean people in the church. They may believe that you should separate the Lord from your politics or political decisions. Maybe you should separate the Lord from decisions you make about schools. But we have a bit of a different take on this.
It's impossible to separate church and state.
So,
bad idea.
Let's go ahead and get into the chicken, and we will also get into the topic. All right, guys. So one thing that I can say, my personal take on separation of church and state, is that we shouldn't have it in the church. I believe that the Lord should be included in every decision that you make. What do you think, Amber?
For sure. I mean, this country was pretty much, the Constitution itself spells out that, God is included. Our Pledge of Allegiance says we are united as a country under God. So why would we not include him in everything from our rules and regulations to schools to politics? It just doesn't make sense to not include him, and therefore it shouldn't be an option to include or exclude him. It's either one or the other. So we playing with being lukewarm. Oops, sorry, I'm just trying to scoot this over. We're playing with being lukewarm when we kind of go back and forth on what we want, if we want to include him or not.
I agree. My whole take on it is, if you can include the Lord in your marriage, why would you not include him in your political decisions? Our marriages are maybe the most important earthly decision that we would make. And it doesn't really make any sense for you to want to include the Lord in on your marriage, between a very sacred covenant between you and another person, but then not include him in on running the country. Because as we know, we as followers of Christ should include the Lord in on everything. Our time, our abilities, the decisions that we make should not be our own. All right, so we're also going, with the chicken, we're going to actually wait for it to cook, maybe for about 3 to 5 minutes on one side. We have it on medium-high heat, and then we're gonna flip it over and then cook it until it is finished. As you can see, I have the chicken in full cutlets, so I like to chop mine up after they're already cooked. All right.
Okay, confession to everybody. I absolutely hate cooking. It's such a chore to me. Like, I will clean the entire house, like floorboards and all, any nook and cranny. I'll get the dust before I sit here and try to cook the whole meal. I mean, sometimes once I get into it, I'm fine. But ooh, it's worse. It's worse than working out. It's worse than
working out.
Worse than working out.
Absolutely not. I don't think so.
I think at this point it's easier for me to say, oh, I'm gonna go for a run today, which I absolutely hate running. I think it's easier for me to say that than to be like, all right, let's cook.
I don't think so.
Oh.
Ain't no way. Working out, that's crazy, man. All right, so we're gonna let that chicken cook for a little longer on that first side. But as far as separation of church and state, I think it's really straight to the point. Would you include the Lord in your marriage? If your answer is yes, you should question yourself and ask yourself, why wouldn't you include the Lord in on your day-to-day decisions? When we get to removing the Lord from school, from politics, and our day-to-day decisions, then you start to get into the state of the world today. So a lot of people wonder, well, why is the world so crazy? Why is there so much going on? Well, that's because we've removed the Lord from our daily decisions. So I think that's pretty relevant to what's going on with the elections right now, but also with our careers and the decisions that we make in our careers. What would you say as far as your career, Amber? How do you include the Lord in your day-to-day decisions at work?
Ooh, so as a nurse, I kind of feel like it sounds contradicting, but it's kind of easy, I feel like, to include God at work, because I mean, I work in the realm of healing. So you talk about medicine, people are sick, they're coming because they have a problem that they want to solve, or at least start the process of getting better. And it's just a matter of, for me, whether that patient believes in Christ or not, you know, that I'm showing the love of Christ as this patient is going through the healing process. Because our interactions, you know, if you want to call it customer service or the nurse-patient relationship, all of that is encompassing and plays a part into the patient and how they'll heal. If they're sitting here having to worry about, you know, I don't trust certain people, or they're already worried about what's going on at home. I gotta go feed my dog. I gotta go get the kids from school. When is this gonna be over? Because I gotta do this, and my family's coming at this time. You gotta just think all kinds of things. You taking the Lord with you to work every day and coming into that room, and again, if you're not directly talking about Christ, you can bring that light to a patient. You can help that patient, you know, calm down and kind of, you know, bring them a little bit of that peace that God gives us every day. So, bless you.
Thank you.
And then even believe in God for healing. That's a given to me, but I guess I should still say it. Believe God, you know, His will come to pass, you know, no matter what each patient is going through. And that ultimately, you know, His will prevail in each one of their lives. So that's kind of how my mindset is pretty much at work every day. It's not something that I need to say and go around and proclaim, rather. But I am the first person at the bedside if a patient want to pray. I might either be the one praying, or I'm getting everybody together. The patient said they want to pray, so everybody praying before surgery or whatever. But I do try to advocate for, if I know a patient is, you know, really want to incorporate their faith in their care, I really do try to push that. Not push it, but encourage them to do that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you said that you're the first person that people go after when they need prayer. A lot of times, even when you have someone who is not a Christian, not really open to Christianity or followers of Christ in general, you may find that when that person is in dire need, that they will actually look for you at that time, whereas before they were shunning you. So as followers of Christ, it's important that we don't get weary in what the Lord has called us to do. So we're actually gonna pour that pasta into, yes, this is, what kind of pasta is that? What we're gonna do is pour in, just pour, and I'll tell you when.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
All right.
That's perfect.
And then if I could get you to go ahead and flip that chicken over, it is time.
Yeah, I definitely do think it's a personal conviction on whether you should vote or not. And I'm not voting. I think one reason I was hesitant to even like come to the conclusion of that was because in the Black community, you know, history, our ancestors fought for us to vote. But you understand, again, as a nurse, we got patient rights, right? So, okay, we have the right to vote. What that means is you can choose to exercise that right or not. And so I'm kind of on the same plane as far as the lesser of two evils, but then it's like, well, dang, when you say it like that, so you saying they both evil? And I literally can sit here and just give a list of all the different hot topics of laws and policies that's coming up. And I would say it's pretty even. Like, I agree with this one on that one. I don't agree with this one on that one. And like, I really can't choose. And I don't feel good choosing one or not the other, or vice versa, because it's like I'm missing something. Like, no candidate will ever 100% have everything across the plane that you agree with, but at the same time, this is a little, I don't know, this is a little different. And the topics that are kind of hitting close to home are hit or miss with either or. And so it's very difficult to choose. So I'm like, you know, I was having a lot of anxiety about it at first, I'm not gonna lie. So I did have to pray about it, and the Lord was just like, just don't vote. And I'm just like, what? I was like, oh, I can do that, can't I? I don't have to vote. You're absolutely correct. So, you know, it's just, you know, knowing that at the end of the day, it's in God's hands anyway. God's word does not return void. So what he said, how this all gonna end, and the like, you know, this is God's world. So I'm just leaving it to him to decide. And again, that's a personal conviction. Everybody should all take it all to the Lord. What you think you should do, or if you decide to vote, maybe ask the Lord who you need to vote for, you know. And that's not just for the presidency, for the Senate, and at the local level as well. You know, because it's more than just the presidents on the ballot.
Exactly.
Do your research and look into. One thing I will say that has bothered me, when I was out of state and I got my paper ballot, 1 year, I was looking into, this was the off cycle of the president election. I think this was for like the governors and stuff. I was trying to look up some independent and Green Party people, and I could not find no information. And that to me I think that was the first red flag that probably the next election, I don't know if I want to vote or not, because why can I not find information on other candidates outside of the Democratic and the Republican Party? It's like, to me, it screams setup. Like, I don't even claim Democrat or Republican, but the fact that I gotta choose one of the two when it's other people who are outside of those parties who are probably could be the better candidate, but I have no information on them. I don't find an Instagram page. I might find a website, but it's not as thorough. It's not breaking down the policies. It's not like, I can't find anything, and that is the weirdest thing to me. And so that's another reason why, like, I'm kind of side-eyeing voting, because I'm like, what if I don't want either one of these people, and is there a third option, you know? So
Exactly.
It seems, it's shady.
I completely agree. I think that, and these are just my own personal beliefs, I think it's all an agenda. Like you said, I've never been one that could choose a actual political party, because, you know, when it comes to Democrat, they don't agree with things that are in the Bible, and so I couldn't stand with just the entire party. Mm-hmm. But you know, there's things for Republican candidates that they don't actually uphold things in the Bible either. So how can you say, you know, you just choose one side? Now, I will say I choose according to the person. I always choose according to the person. So yeah. Politics are hard, but one thing I can say is, as followers of Christ, we are in society, we're not of it. So that's the reason why it's important to always, you know, keep God in every decision that you make. And we shouldn't be really participating in the whole separation of church and state, because he should be our deciding factor in it all.
You know what's wild is that you as a person, you believe in something in order for your life itself to run. So morals and values, typically, even if you're, I don't know, a complete atheist, you believe in something to where when you go out into the world, you know the difference between what you deem is right and wrong. And so when it comes to the morals and values of each individual person, and you apply that to an organization of any kind, whether hospital or school, the government, whatever, it's coming from somewhere. So how can you possibly say we can separate church and state, or that idea of what the world deems it to be, when if as a Christian, that's where my morals and values come from?
Right.
So, like, how can I not incorporate Christ and quote unquote separate things when that's the driving force of, you know, what I believe in life, period? It's contradicting. It's contradicting. I think that was created just to kind of help, you know, the different denominations and the different religions kind of come to a conclusion of, well, we're not going to push either one. We're just going to include everybody in whatever. But at the end of the day, if so-and-so believes in this and so-and-so believes in that, they come to some common ground on their beliefs, and that becomes the rule. And so you still, like, you might not be saying it up front, but you're still including what you believe as you go along, whether you go to church or not.
I completely agree. All right, guys, we have let go of that water from our noodles. If you take a look here, they're completely strained. What we're gonna do now is make the sauce. So Amber J is going to put that little pack of butter in. It's not that much in there, so just stick the whole thing in there. That's all the butter that we have left. I would typically add a bit more, but that's what we have. She is gonna wait for that to melt a little bit. It is melting. She can go ahead and open up the heavy cream, and then she's gonna pour it in. Now we're gonna turn the heat up to pretty much high because we want it to boil first. While it's about to cook, you're gonna add some salt. Stop. And then we're not gonna add that much salt, and the reason why, before my fellow African Americans get on me, is because if you don't know, cheese has salt in it, which is the reason why sometimes you can forget to add salt, add cheese to your recipe, and it still has flavor. All right, so you're going to add a little bit of black pepper. I like to go light on the black pepper because it goes a long way. I use fresh spices.
This is a lot to me. You said a little bit. I was going to just boop.
That's definitely not a lot. All right, so we're gonna add just a bit of paprika.
What's a bit?
Now, paprika is not spicy.
Right, it just gives it color.
You're right. Now, we don't use regular paprika around here. We use smoked paprika, so we go beyond color and we add flavor. All right. All right, so go ahead and add that in, and then I'll tell you when. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
I didn't open the other side, sorry.
You know, you're fine, keep going. And that's perfect, all right? You see how our sauce is starting to get a color to it?
It's cute.
It's got flavor. It looked like it has flavor, okay? Your sauce should not just be white unless you're making an Italian sauce. That would be just butter. The next thing is going to be, what do we have over there? The garlic. Oh, let's do garlic paste. So let's put that away. And we're gonna open that cabinet that's right in front of you. That one on the other side. Oh, sorry, right here. Oh. So, yeah, it doesn't have handles. Right there. Oh, all right, let's close it up.
It just slid out. It was ready.
You're gonna squeeze just a little bit of that in because it's a bit potent. Go ahead and squeeze. I'll tell you when. Squeeze, 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 and stop. That's perfect.
Garlic paste.
Yes, very, very delicious. And if you guys haven't noticed yet, we don't measure around here. So this is why we're giving you a video. So you can see about how much I put in, and you can put in the amount that fits your taste buds, you and your families, okay? So as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's starting to bubble. We're gonna wait until the whole pan is bubbling a little bit, and then we're gonna turn it all the way off, because we're gonna add our cheese in after we turn it off.
I do want to say one thing that came to my mind. Okay. Price is never not appropriate.
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say to that. I think some people are afraid to talk about religion in certain spaces. Now I do agree there's a time and a place in a sense of that, okay, don't just go up to somebody and slap them across the face with a Bible. Sure. But, you know, there's never a wrong time and place. And that's why you have to let the Holy Spirit lead you and pay attention and spend time with Christ on your own, so that you're more sensitive to when the Holy Spirit is leading you to talk and when is the time to, you know, say what you need to say appropriately. So there is never a time when Christ is not appropriate, because, I mean, it's God. What you mean?
Agreed. That is the theme of today's video, in fact. All right, let's go ahead and add the cheese. Now we're gonna give it a good mix. And just a reminder, your heat is off. So you want it to just melt in there. And we've got a lot of heavy cream in ours, so we'll probably use a bit more cheese eventually. But we want it to melt a bit first. And what's gonna happen is the heavy cream is gonna start to thicken up. All right, we're gonna add some more cheese to that because I want it a bit thicker. We don't want watery sauce. Guys, if your sauce is watery, add more cheese.
That's the catch, add more cheese. Well, why didn't you say so?
So as you can see, the sauce is cream. Your sauce should not be just white, guys. It should have some flavor to it. Starting to bubble a bit. We're gonna add a bit more salt. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the eye off now that I see it's thickening. And it's almost at the perfect consistency. Guys, you don't have to use the spices that we use in this. You can add Cajun seasoning. What I like to do for myself is add seafood boil, because I love the flavor of that, but that is a bit spicy. If you have people that don't really like spicy food, do not use that. That's probably as spicy as it gets. I am gonna add some red pepper flakes, a bit of garlic powder, and I'm actually going to add a bit of onion powder as well. Garlic and onion go together on almost every meal for me. That's the perfect consistency. Guys, we don't use shelf sauce. We do not use shelf sauce for our spaghetti. We do not use shelf sauce for our Alfredo. We just make it ourselves. You see how simple and easy that was? So Amber, would you make this sauce at home, or would you just go to the store?
Well, now I know how to do it.
That's perfect.
I've always had the urge to want to make stuff from scratch, which I think is very ironic considering I hate cooking. So where is this coming from?
All right, guys, so this is what we have. We have our chicken on top. I did top it with a little parsley and red pepper because that's the way I like mine. And our Alfredo is at the bottom. So now we're gonna taste this and tell y'all, is it chaos or is it euphoria? All right, guys, so we have our pasta here. I'm excited to try it. Let's go. It is.
Even with the red pepper flakes, it's not a lot. Because I don't like hot stuff. I do not. But this is just right. No more. Well, she added extra on top of hers. We didn't need no extra than what we put in the sauce.
All right, guys, so if you enjoyed enjoyed that video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and subscribe.